My husband and I have been having a long struggle with fertility. We've been getting treated and trying for a baby since 2017, but nothing worked. My husband is understandably devastated, as he'd always wanted kids but never got the chance to be a father. He's super sensitive about the infertility topic. This my family knows. Days ago, we got together with family for dinner. All of a sudden, my sister and her husband announced that they were expecting. We were stunned, me and my husband, I mean. As for the others, they were thrilled. As everyone congratulated them, my husband got up, pushed his chair to the side and walked out. They all stared at me, but I got up and told my sister she messed up by announcing her pregnancy like this, and with zero consideration for my husband, knowing how he felt about this topic. She got defensive, saying his issues with the topic weren't her problem, and that she and her husband were fed up with walking on eggshells around him. I called her selfish and cruel, but she complained that he ruined their joy, and I made it worse by making a scene. I told her she shouldn't have chosen my parents' house, but she said I have no place to dictate what she does in our parents' house. So my mom asked me to go home and I went. It's been horrible. My parents think I've reacted poorly and should apologize to my sister on both my husband's and my behalf after the scene we made at their house. So, am I the idiot for calling my sister selfish? You are the idiot. What exactly would you consider an appropriate way for her to announce her pregnancy? Or did you expect her to keep it a secret until the child was born? Or until it was old enough to graduate for the rest of their lives? And what happens when the baby shows up? Will bringing the baby around be rubbing it in your face too? I'm sorry for your infertility issues. However, you don't get to take happiness away from other people because of it. OP mentions that the sister said that she and her husband are tired of walking on eggshells around the issue, which has been going on for the last 5 years. I get the feeling that the husband is hypersensitive about being infertile, which is why he immediately walked out of the house. I think the sister feels like she's been very patient and walked on eggshells for so long that they could finally, after 5 years, be pregnant without having to hide it. I also like how OP says her sister shouldn't have chosen my parents' house, when it's also the sister's parents' house. Why wouldn't you announce your pregnancy at your parents' dinner table? She probably expected her not to have children to keep things fair. Honestly, there would not have been a good time for OP or her husband. What they did was selfish. They took what was supposed to be the sister's happiest time and turned it into something about them. OP, you are fantastically self-centered. Your parents were right in asking you to leave. Dude, that's just not what I get from this at all. A private heads up or doing it when they're not there would have been more considerate. It blindsided them, as anyone could have predicted. The sister should have given OP advance notice. That would have been the kind thing to do. I think that's fair enough and gives everyone space to manage their feelings. The couple struggling with fertility won't get a bomb dropped in their lap and expected to hold their feelings while the company and the expecting couple still gets to have their announcement. I agree, it takes nothing to be kind. For example, when I was struggling with fertility and was going to a party my sister was hosting, she told me beforehand that her super pregnant friend would be there. I didn't care, but I appreciated the heads up to decide if I wanted to come. I think it's everyone's the idiot here. OP sucks for ruining their sister's happy moment, and she sucks for not taking OP's and her husband's situation into account while still getting to have their moment. I, 32 female, have a daughter. I'll call her Isla, kindergartner. My brother Ben, 37, has a wife, Candace, 32, who has a daughter, Kaylee, 2 years older than Isla, with her ex who's not in Kaylee's life. Ben and Candace married when Kaylee was 4. Ben cares a lot about Kaylee, but Candace takes care of Kaylee financially and makes all the decisions about parenting, which is the arrangement they have agreed upon, and no one questions that. My parents aren't fond of Candace. Of course, they're polite and happy that Ben is happy, but no one is warm to her. It's not for any particular reason. There just hasn't been a click on either side of the equation. Candace is not too fond of us all either. Candace and Ben also live a few states away, so we rarely see them. When Isla was born, my parents started a college fund for her. I told my parents when they started it not to do this, as my husband and I were putting aside enough money for education and a trust for Isla that she would be fully financed, but they insisted. They said that they would like to pay for her college, and we could add any money we'd saved for her college to her trust. This is very important to them, so we agreed. Candace recently found out about the college fund and is livid. She thinks my parents owe Kaylee a college fund because she's their granddaughter too. Now, for better or worse, my parents don't see it that way. Candace called my parents about this and asked Ben to put pressure on them to provide money for Kaylee, but they wouldn't budge. So she's now calling me, saying I should ask my parents to use Isla's fund for Kaylee since we don't need the money, or at the very least, I should commit to using the money for Kaylee when the time comes. I don't think it would be right for me to take the money from my parents in bad faith and redistribute it against their wishes. Nor do I think it would be right to take something of great value for my daughter and important to her grandparents just because someone else feels entitled to it. I said all this to Candace, who hasn't contacted me since. However, some relatives have said that since I wouldn't miss the money, I should think about contributing at least some of the money to Kaylee's education. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Ben isn't allowed to make parenting decisions or financially support his stepdaughter, but his and OP's parents are supposed to fund her education and treat her like a granddaughter when it benefits her? That's not how it works. It's basically like expecting a stranger to save thousands on your behalf. This is spot on. How strange. It could be the jealousy that's driving this demand. She can't have it both ways. Keep her husband from parenting her daughter and still demand his parents pay for her college. That's having your cake and eating it too. By some quick math computations and a basic understanding of biology, I'm coming up with Kaylee having 4 actual blood relation grandparents. If anyone's going to pony up a college fund, it should be them. And that being said, Isla's education fund is for her education. I highly doubt her endowment is enough to pay for an Ivy League law or medical degree, so it's about 15 years too soon to be saying she doesn't need it. The money isn't even yours to give. She thinks my parents owe Kaylee a college fund because, let's just stop right there. Your parents don't owe Kaylee a thing. They can do what they want with their money. People can argue if, depending upon a given situation, it's an idiot thing for grandparents to give money to one and not the other. But they don't owe anyone anything. And Candace is an idiot for coming to you asking to take money away from your daughter, especially since that goes directly against your parents' wishes. So I will begin by saying that I, female 28, am on the spectrum. I don't really like children, and I definitely do not plan on having any. I own my own house, and I allow my parents to live in my basement. It is a fully developed suite, not a dungeon. I have an office in my home, and I keep boxes of brand new Legos in my office. Building the kits helps me relax. Afterward, I keep the minifigs, and I donate the pieces and plans to a women's shelter so the kids have something to play with. My brother, his wife, and my niece and nephew have come for a visit, and my parents asked me to let them stay with me upstairs so they weren't overcrowded. So I said that my brother and sister-in-law could, but that the kids should stay downstairs. My office has shelves full of minifigs just lined up doing their own thing. No rhyme or reason to it. I call it controlled chaos. It's the only thing I let be disordered in my living area. My brother knew I had Legos in my office and asked if his kids could play with them because they were so bored. I said no. It would drive me nuts if I went to build a set and any piece was missing. I came home on Sunday from my weekly grocery shop and noticed several of my sets were missing. So I called my parents and asked them what had happened. They said my brother had taken a couple of sets for his kids since they're just toys. I was upset that he had gone into my office and against what I had said and taken my things. I usually give my niece and nephew nice gifts when they visit. For their birthdays this year, I gave each one of them a Switch. So the family was leaving today, and my brother was waiting for me to give them a gift. I gave them each the set of Legos that they had opened up and played with. The kids seemed happy. My brother was upset because my mom had already told them that I'd gotten them a PS5. I found a bundle on sale and picked it up. I'm keeping it for myself. He asked if there was any other gift, and I said no. He had already taken their gifts from my office, and now he's upset because his kids didn't get something I had purchased for them. He said that I was punishing them for him taking my toys for them to play with, and that I'm a cheap and spiteful witch. I think his kids got a couple of $100 worth of toys, and that's a pretty good gift, especially since he stole them. Not the idiot. You did nothing wrong, and it was a good idea just to give the kids the Legos their father stole from you. Legos are costly. Personally, I wouldn't allow your brother into your house again, and tell your parents to stay out of things. They should never have told your brother about the PS5. He's entitled. It's his job to bring toys for his kids, so they don't get bored. Hopefully your brother learned his lesson and respects your home. The only lesson those kids learned is that if you want something from Auntie's house, just take it, and she'll gift it to you later. You should get a lock for that door and put everything you value there when they come, and maybe purchase some cheap toys for the kids since the parents don't bring anything and grandparents don't care enough. Honestly, I think your brother was looking forward to using that PS5 himself. No way he's that upset because his kids didn't get it. And the fact he insulted you after invading your privacy and overstepping your boundaries inside your own home as a guest makes them a giant idiot. They would never be welcomed back into my home, and your parents need to respect your space as well. My male 30, little sister 25, is getting married. I'm super excited for her. She's getting married to a great woman she loves. They make a great couple, and I know she's always wanted to get married. My sister and I have always been close growing up. She's probably one of my best friends. So I was one of the first people that she told she was getting married. She asked me to be her best man, and I enthusiastically agreed. Things were going great until her engagement party this weekend. The plan was to brunch at 10:30 and then to go to my sister's place and chill. It worked since it was only 5 people. It was less of an engagement party and more of a casual get-together. Now, I love to sleep, especially on the weekends. I'm a bit of a workaholic and tend to be the last one out of the office, the first one in. I'm married to my job. My sister knows this about me and knows I have a big project coming up. So on Friday, I was at the office until 9 and I got home at 10. I passed out and slept through my alarms. I woke up at 11 and I had already missed the brunch by the time I rolled out of bed. So I text my sister telling her I'd be late and show up at her apartment. I arrived and she seemed annoyed but didn't say anything. After everyone else had left, she asked me if there was anything else I wanted to tell her, and I said no. She sighed and asked me to leave. Today I woke up to a text saying she no longer wants me in her wedding party. I asked her why, and she told me it's because I'm always late to everything and don't make her a priority. Not true. I tried to argue, but she completely shut down the conversation. I told her that if I was no longer in the party, I wasn't going to the wedding, and she just reacted with a thumbs up. My girlfriend thinks I'm an idiot and should apologize, but I don't see why. My sister knows I work long hours and I'm a heavy sleeper. I made it to the tail end of the party, so why does it matter if I miss the mimosas and eggs Benedict? Am I the idiot? Just because your sister knows that you don't give a crap about respecting other people's time doesn't mean she has to put up with it. Being late to an important event for her is already an idiot move. The fact that you didn't even think you should have apologized the minute you arrived late shows just how self-centered you are. And the absolute childish, then I won't go to your wedding move, as if it's all about you, is just the cherry on top of your entitled behavior. You are the idiot. Stop making excuses. You're not the victim in this situation. The fact he doesn't realize that his lateness to her engagement party will be seen as a direct correlation with how much he cares about being punctual for the actual wedding. Being late is rude, especially when you have one of the main roles in a wedding and can't even show up on time for the engagement party or even apologize for being late. But it wasn't a proper engagement party, more of a casual get-together, so it's less important, you know? You think being married to your job is some badge of honor that gets you out of being responsible for the other obligations in your life. Newsflash, it doesn't. Based on her reaction and your attitude about how everyone knows this, I would guarantee you've let her down and others down more than once. Reap what you sow. I'm 28 male, currently planning a wedding for this spring. My fiance and I are keeping it relatively small with around 30 to 40 people. My parents got divorced a couple of years ago, and my dad married rather quickly to Jen. Jen is a lot younger than my parents, 32 I think, and absolutely gorgeous, and this bothers my mom quite a bit. I get that it's a big age gap, but I figure she's an adult who can make her own decisions, and they seem happy together, so whatever. She's always been super nice to my fiance and me, so I have nothing against her. My parents' divorce was a little messy, with my dad initiating it. My mom will still make digs at my dad, but he just doesn't talk about her, or if he does, he only says positive things. Well, when going over the guest list with my mother, she had a bunch of family friends she asked if I was inviting. I told her no because those are people I don't consider myself close to, and my fiance and I wanted to be small, immediate family, some cousins and good friends. She asked if Jen was getting an invite, and I told her of course. She's my dad's wife, and we have a good relationship, so yes, she'll be there. My mom freaked out. She said these family friends have been in my life way longer than Jen, and I'm choosing a gold digger. My father would be considered wealthy by most people over these people. I told her I was allowing my father to bring a +1, and I would never have considered inviting my mother's friends, again because I'm not close to them. She then said she's still determining if she'll go to the wedding if Jen's there. Not wanting to deal with this, I told her that it saddens me, but to make up her mind by January, as that's when we need the number for the venue. She then told me I was choosing Jen over my mother. I don't feel that way, but my older sister, Jen's age, also doesn't love the whole situation and is saying I should uninvite Jen. Am I the idiot for keeping Jen on the list? Personally, I think Jen is awesome and would love to celebrate with her, and I think the whole thing is dumb. Not the idiot, but can you put yourself in your mom's shoes? She clearly doesn't have a +1. Instead, her ex is bringing his hot young wife, who's barely older than his daughter. And as a final insult, now she knows she doesn't even have her close family friends, who she's known for years and can support her, coming to this ceremony. OP, I'd find room for another couple. Ask your mom to choose which one and make her happy, all for just an extra person or two. Question: do you know if your dad was having an affair with Jen? Based on your post, the timeliness seems tight. Before having this as your hill to die on, I would make sure you know the story there. Talk to your sister and see what she knows. If there was an affair, consider it too soon to put your mother through having to play nice, and Dad can deal with leaving Jen at home. Honestly, even if there wasn't an affair, I get why your mom is upset of having to deal with your father's new bride. Your dad dumped her and got remarried right away. Have you ever had a girlfriend dump you and then have a boyfriend 2 days later? Well, imagine that pain, only after 20+ years and kids together. Imagine what you would feel if your fiance did that to you in 20+ years, and your kid was basically like, the new wife is nice, so what's the problem, Mom? Consider inviting 1 or 2 of her friends, so she has some additional support. Could you give her a +1 or a +2? You don't want her to be the cheese standing alone. That would be miserable for her and tarnish the memory of the wedding. Imagine if your fiance did that to you in 20+ years and then started dating a person your kid's age. I mean, OP already thinks stepmom is gorgeous. Apple might not fall far from the tree someday. OP, do you have any super good-looking guy friends your own age who would be willing to go as your mom's date? It might solve all your problems.